Dagan is a faithful interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more. Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below. Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death. It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
Alright, let me look around a bit, because there's... Well, I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for. This thing? Ah, okay.
Lovecraft and the Great War. Dagan was written around a month after the United States entered World War I. Lovecraft was actively interested in his force. He composed many poems in which he gave encouragement to soldiers and commented on the events of war in Europe. He tried to enlist in the army, which he mentions in one of the letters to Reinhard Kleiner. Some time ago, impressed by my entire uselessness in the world, I resolved to accept enlistment despite my almost invalid condition. I argued that if I chose a regiment soon to depart for France, my sheer nervous force, which is not inconsiderable, might sustain me till a bullet or piece of shrapnel could more conclusively and effectively dispose of me. Letters to Reinhard Kleiner, H.P. Lovecraft. But even though he passed the physical exam, his mother prevented him from going to the war. She has threatened to go to any length, legal or otherwise, if I do not reveal all of the ills which unfit me for the army. I am Providence, the life and times of H.P. Lovecraft, S.T. Yoshi.
Yoshi! You can read... oh, fuck.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation. So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
The Huns.
The Huns were Central Asian nomads who established their dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. They were known as brutal, deadly warriors, and masters of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows,
Lassos?
And early siege weapons.
During World War I, the British used the word Hun as a synonym for Germans in order to
emphasize their brutality.
However, the term originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops on 27th of July 1900 before they embarked to China.
Should you encounter the enemy,
He will be defeated.
no quarter will be given. Prisoners will not be taken. Whoever falls into your hands is forfeited. Just as 1,000 years ago the Huns, under their king Attila, made a name for themselves, one that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend. May the name German be affirmed by you in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever again dare to look cross-eyed at a German. The refusal to take prisoners was a clear breach of the laws and customs of war adopted during the First Hague Convention of 1899. That's a lot of lore.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
I'm sorry guys, but I'm just trying to sort this out from the Huns thing. So were the Germans like they were invading China and they didn't want to take prisoners because they wanted to show that they were overpowered? I probably didn't get it at all. I just read it without thinking too much. Wait, yeah, like, that's all I wanted to say. All right, I'll keep going.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Falling,
That's beautiful.
dreaming.
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight. The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
This is a very dumb idea. I have no idea why I'm doing this. Nothing else to look at.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know.
Should never sleep alone during a sleep party.
My slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Ooh. Oh, it's a squid. I've seen these types of enemies before. Damn, look at him. It's cool.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air, and in the rotting soil, a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other, less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity.
You were saying a lot of words that I barely understand.
There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight, save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty.
Fuck this, dude. Oh, alright. Nothing else.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
Look at the squids. Holy crap.
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
I sure as hell didn't pull this out of my ass.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
I mean, there's a little thing right here. You could eat that. And so is the squids. Ugh. Yeah, we're eating that. Oh my god. Bon appetit!
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Alright.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease.
Imagine that. You're just stepping on sticky goo. And you're just... I don't even know, man. This is supposed to be the ocean, too, man. Ugh.
The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Alright. Excuse me, Mr. Squid. Gotta step on you.
All
Holy,
day I
are
forged
those statues?
steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Bro, are these claws? What are they? Bro, check that out. These are monsters, dude. You're not gonna question these things? Bro, that's a big ass whale! And it's not your mother. Alright.
That night, I encamped.
Whoa, look at the size
and
of this
on the following
thing!
day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
How is this still the ocean? Where? Oh. Alright, let's just go.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again, and in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day.
Unwise? What do you mean?
Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
Oh, that's why.
Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset.
No, what do we know, man? What if there's still fishes? I don't know, monsters that live in the mountain.
Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
What does that even mean?
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not...
Oh, sorry. Whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to loom.
I felt myself on the edge of the world,
At the end of the day, we all edge.
peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost,
Is that a book?
and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness.
How do you know Santa?
As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Perpendicular. I learned that in math class. Oh, that's never mind.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent,
No. No.
whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
I'm not the smartest person, am I?
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath. gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
There was just like a bunch of kids who passed by my house. They were just loud as fuck. Anyways, they're gone. I can talk now.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
You think? You think?
A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Nor do I want you to express them. Alright.
For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures.
Well, you're saying this is a living being or a statue?
Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Alright, I'm guessing they're telling me to check around. Alright.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm,
Oh, hell no!
and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith,
How do you even know what this
on
is?
whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures. The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books, consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world.
Marine things. Is that a bird? Birds live underwater too.
But whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
Oh, those big ass things.
It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
This thing in the middle. Storytelling methods. You know, fun fact, I'm trying to write a book myself, and this is all very interesting.
Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré.
What's a dory?
I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto,
Merman.
or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail,
Because there isn't any. They're just like little splotches of paint.
for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint, grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer.
You got that right. Look at them.
They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips,
You hearing that, Ugly? They're talking about you.
glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background.
Sure. They look more like cartoon drawings, but
For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
that's terrifying. Imagine a monster the size of a blue whale.
I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe.
If so, this is an incredible discovery.
Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
That's crazy.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist,
I'm amazed you could see the very top from here. Like, if I was here, if I was the one that was placed there, I'd probably have to squint my eyes to even see the. Can those children shut the fuck up? To see those like fishes at the very top. Is that a turtle? The very top.
I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
You saw what?
With only a slight churn
Oh, there!
rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Ugh. Whoa!
Like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Amen, brother.
I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the sloping cliff and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Holy. Alright, this is us going up. I'm amazed that I could do that.
I believe
Bro, check
I
out these
sank a great
claws.
deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
That's horrifying.
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Oh, now what? I'm stuck in the middle of this
When
gooey
I came
island.
out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital,
Nice.
brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing.
Well, tell them about that time you met with an octopus monster.
Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Makes sense. I'd do the same. This thing? In Defense of Dagan. In 1921, Lovecraft released a series of 3 essays. The Defense Reopens, The Defense Remains Open, and Final Words. Later published as a collection titled In Defense of Dagan, in which he rebuked a series of criticism directed at his works. Some notable quotes. I paint what I dream, and will not let the public settle the rest among themselves. Mr. Monday asked to raise in the tray of the Dagan. I will give it purely and simply to reproduce a mood. Its object is the simplest in all art, portrayal. The physical horrors of war, no matter how extreme and unprecedented, hardly have a bearing on the entirely different realm of supernatural terror. Ghosts are still ghosts. The mind can get more thrills from unrealities than from realities. In the essays, Lovecraft touches upon the topics of atheism, materialism, the quest for truth, and the love of science. Well, that's very interesting. The Journalist. Well, joke's on you, we got Donald Trump back, so now we're gonna be free from war. Ha ha! That's a joke, by the way. Don't take me seriously.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon.
Oh, it's
fish
Dagon.
god.
Sorry. Dagon, the fish god. Alright. Dagon. A fish god, huh?
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
The marketer.
Shut up, bitch!
Low key. I don't really like cinnamon.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave.
Yeah, man.
So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Do you have to, man? I mean, addiction is something that you are able to get over. Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Yoshi! Alright, let's stick this vent.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm, a mere freak of fever as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
This is pretty sick, not gonna lie. Not the Statue of Liberty! She's best girl!
The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
I like the door. Oh, this is creepy. Can I look at anything else? Can you tell me any more lore before I open the door and probably kill myself to a fish god? Alright, no.
It shall not find me. God, that hand! The window! The window!
I can't move! Oof! Thank you for playing. We hope you enjoyed the immersing your... Wait, what? What's that?
And scary stories have been accompanying men for centuries. They have many faces and forms. But what is their purpose? Why do we enjoy being afraid so much? During our therapy, I'll try to...
Well, I guess now we know what I'm gonna play next.